Picture this. You're 72 years old, boarding a flight to visit your grandchildren across the country, and instead of squeezing into that cramped middle seat you paid for, you're sinking into a plush business class recliner with a glass of champagne in hand. Sound impossible on your retirement budget? I'm about to show you exactly how Mary from Phoenix turned her economy nightmare into a first-class dream, spending less than what most people pay for premium economy. What I'm sharing today isn't some get-rich-quick scheme or credit card churning marathon that requires a finance degree to understand. These are real, practical strategies that work especially well for seniors, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to implement them for your next trip. But here's the catch: airlines are catching on to some of these methods, so what works today might not work tomorrow. Let me start with the most powerful weapon in your upgrade arsenal, something airlines desperately want but rarely talk about: flexibility. When you're retired, you have something most business travelers would kill for: complete control over your schedule. Airlines know this, and they're willing to reward you handsomely for it. Here's how this works in practice. Instead of booking that direct flight to see your family on the exact date you want, consider arriving a day or two earlier or later. When you search for flights, look for the least popular travel days. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday flights often have the most upgrade availability because business travelers avoid them like the plague. I've seen seniors get bumped to business class simply because they were willing to take the Tuesday morning flight instead of Monday evening. But timing goes deeper than just the day of the week. Think about seasonal patterns. Everyone wants to fly to Florida in February, but hardly anyone thinks about visiting in May when the weather is still beautiful and the crowds have disappeared. Off-season travel doesn't just save you money on hotels and activities, it dramatically increases your upgrade chances because airlines are desperate to fill those premium cabins. Now, let's talk about the psychology of airline loyalty programs, because this is where seniors have a massive hidden advantage. Most frequent flyer programs reward consistent travel over total spending, and here's the secret sauce. Airlines value predictable customers more than big spenders who disappear for months. Instead of spreading your flights across different airlines to save $20 or $30 here and there, pick one airline and stick with them religiously. Even if you only take 3 or 4 trips per year, consistent loyalty over several years can elevate you to elite status faster than you'd expect. Once you reach that first tier of elite status, complimentary upgrades become significantly more common. But here's where most people make a crucial mistake. They think elite status is only about flying frequently, but airlines also offer something called status challenges and status matches. If you've been flying with one airline for years but never joined their frequent flyer program, don't panic. Most airlines will retroactively credit you for recent flights, and some will even fast-track your status based on your travel history with competitors. Here's a strategy that works particularly well for seniors: the vacation package loophole. When you book flight and hotel packages through the airline's website, they often have upgrade inventory that doesn't appear when you book flights separately. The airline makes more profit on the package deal, so they're more willing to sweeten the pot with cabin upgrades. I've seen retirees get business class seats on international flights this way when those same seats were showing as unavailable for individual bookings. Speaking of international flights, this is where your age becomes your greatest asset. Many airlines have unpublished policies about upgrading senior passengers on long-haul flights, especially if you mention any mobility concerns during check-in. You don't need to exaggerate or lie, but if you have minor arthritis, back problems, or difficulty walking long distances, the gate agents often have discretionary upgrade authority for comfort reasons. This brings me to one of my favorite insider secrets: the medical upgrade request. If you have any documented medical condition that makes economy seating uncomfortable, you can formally request an accommodation upgrade. This isn't about gaming the system, it's about ensuring your health and safety during travel. Airlines would much rather upgrade you than deal with a medical emergency at 30,000 feet. Now let's discuss the power of strategic check-in timing. Most people either check in exactly 24 hours early or wait until they arrive at the airport. Both approaches are mistakes. The sweet spot is checking in early enough to see the seat map but late enough that nervous economy passengers have already paid for premium economy upgrades, leaving business class as the only upgrade option. Here's exactly how to execute this strategy. Check in online about 18 hours before departure and carefully study the seat map. If business class is mostly empty but premium economy is full, you're in the perfect position. Print your boarding pass but don't select a seat yet. When you arrive at the airport, politely explain to the check-in agent that you're having trouble finding suitable seating and ask what options might be available. The key phrase here is, "I'm hoping you might have something available that would be more comfortable for the flight." Never demand an upgrade, never mention that you think you deserve it, and never compare yourself to other passengers. Gate agents deal with entitled passengers all day, and they're much more likely to help someone who's genuinely pleasant and humble. But what if the flight is completely sold out? This is where the voluntary bump strategy comes into play. When airlines oversell flights, they need volunteers to take later flights, and they're willing to pay handsomely for the privilege. As a retiree, you're in the perfect position to volunteer because you're not racing to make connecting flights or rushing to important meetings. Here's the insider secret most people miss. When you volunteer for a later flight, ask specifically about the rebooking options. Airlines often have better seats available on less popular flights, and they're usually willing to accommodate upgrade requests for inconvenienced passengers. I know seniors who've turned a 3-hour delay into a business class seat on the next flight plus a significant travel voucher for future trips. Let's talk about the credit card strategy, but not the way most people think about it. You don't need to become a points and miles expert or juggle 15 different credit cards. Instead, focus on getting just one premium airline credit card from your chosen airline. These cards often come with automatic elite status benefits, priority boarding, and most importantly, annual upgrade certificates. But here's the trick most people miss. Use these upgrade certificates strategically. Don't waste them on short domestic flights where the business class experience isn't dramatically different. Save them for long-haul flights where the upgrade represents thousands of dollars in value. And always combine your certificates with other strategies. Use them on off-peak flights where upgrade inventory is more available. Group travel presents another unique opportunity for seniors. If you're traveling with your spouse or a group of friends, airlines often find it easier to upgrade entire parties rather than splitting groups across different cabins. When booking group travel, call the airline directly instead of booking online. Explain that you're traveling together and would appreciate being seated together, preferably in the most comfortable configuration available. Here's a final strategy that requires some patience but delivers incredible results: the last-minute upgrade gamble. 24 hours before departure, start monitoring the seat map for your flight. If business class still has significant availability, there's a good chance the airline will offer discounted upgrades to fill those seats. These last-minute upgrade offers usually appear in your airline app or via email, and they're typically priced at a fraction of the original business class fare. For seniors on a budget, paying an extra $200 for a $1,000 business class seat represents incredible value, especially on long flights. The most important thing to remember is that getting upgraded to business class isn't about luck, it's about understanding how airlines think and positioning yourself as the ideal candidate for those empty premium seats. Airlines want to reward loyal customers, accommodate passengers with legitimate needs, and maintain their reputation for customer service. Every strategy I've shared today has been tested by real seniors achieving real upgrades on real flights. Mary from Phoenix, who I mentioned at the beginning, used 3 of these techniques on her trip to see her grandchildren. She booked a Tuesday flight during off-peak season, volunteered for a later departure when her original flight was oversold, and mentioned her arthritis during the rebooking process. The result? She got bumped to business class on a flight that was actually better than her original booking, plus she received a $400 travel voucher for the inconvenience. Not bad for someone who started with an economy ticket and a willingness to be flexible. Your homework is simple. Pick one strategy from this video and implement it on your next flight booking. Start building that airline loyalty, embrace flexibility in your travel dates, and remember that your age and life circumstances aren't disadvantages in the upgrade game, they're your secret weapons. The skies are waiting, and business class is closer than you think.